Have you ever had something in your life that was good, but you still weren't sure if it was good for you? Maybe it was a friendship, a relationship, a job, a place that you lived, an opportunity that you thought you wanted. Nothing was necessarily wrong with it, but you realized it wasn't exactly what you expected it to feel like. That is exactly what makes the decision so hard. Because we're taught to recognize things that are really bad for us, but no one really teaches us how to recognize when something actually feels right. So how do we know? How do you tell the difference between discomfort because you're growing and discomfort because something doesn't feel aligned with who you are? That is exactly what we're talking about today. Welcome to the Inner Launch, where we talk about the small shifts that you make on the inside can transform the life you're creating on the outside. This is the podcast where we create your next chapter from the inside out. I'm your host, Christina Volkovich. Today we're talking about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. We spend so much time asking ourselves, is this good or bad? Is this the right fit or the wrong fit? That we actually forget to ask a much more personal question. Does this actually fit me? And that is a completely different question. Something can still be a great opportunity and just not be the opportunity for you. Someone can be an incredible person and still not be the person for you. A city can be completely beautiful and still not feel like home for you. A career can feel like success from the outside and still not fit the life that you want to live. So today, I want to talk about how we start to recognize the difference. So let's clarify something. Good does not always mean good for you. We tend to think that if we don't want something, there must be something wrong with it. So we start building a case in our heads to justify wanting to leave it. A person can be kind and wonderful, and the relationship still isn't right for you. A job can be objectively great, but require a lifestyle that you don't want. A city can have everything that you could want and still not feel like home. So I know for me, there was a time in my life when I was working for Chanel. So if any of you know the handbag company Chanel, I was not in handbags, I was in jewelry. And I got hired originally for the very expensive jewelry. Let's just say we started at $500,000 and went up from there. So that's what I was hired to look after and to work with. And it was a really great job. I remember when I went on the interview, my boss actually asked me, so how do you feel about working for a company like Chanel? And I'm like, okay, just another day at work. Like, it's just a name brand to me. And maybe that's just the type of person that I am. That's okay. But for me, I was never into the big names or anything else. But I know there's a lot of girls that would have killed to have said that they worked for Chanel. And for me, I'm just like, yeah, I've been looking at diamonds like for X amount of years and, like just another day at work. Like I'm gonna look at diamonds either at this place over here or I'm gonna look at diamonds over here. Like it doesn't matter. For me, it is just a job, just another day. And it wasn't something that I was really happy at. Personally, I didn't like the culture. For me, it was a lot of Devil Wears Prada. If you've seen that movie, you'd understand. And that's not what I'm about, in case you couldn't tell from my podcast. I want to promote people doing good things, enjoying their life, and, being happy for others. And that was not what it was like there. So I was not happy at that job. Eventually, they let me go, which, hurt because I wasn't chosen. But at the same time, it was never what I wanted to do. And I didn't really know why. I didn't know why that wasn't the place for me. I had the job where it looked good on paper and everybody wanted it, but I didn't. You don't always have to prove that something is good or bad. You can know that it can be good for someone else and maybe not be good for you. So we need to stop asking, do I like this? And instead ask, do I like who I am when I'm with this? I know for me, part of why I didn't like the job or part of why I didn't feel like it was a great fit for me was because they wanted me to stab someone in the back to get ahead. And I didn't want to do that. So that would have been a great time for me to have asked, do I like who I am in this position? I didn't want to be that person that stabbed someone in the back. So I told them I wouldn't, and eventually I got laid off. It's okay. I didn't really feel like I could fully be myself in that position. I felt like I had to constantly edit myself and change who I was to fit the part that they wanted me to be. And I noticed that I was shrinking, performing, second people pleasing, and becoming someone that I didn't truly want to be or like. I didn't want to be the person that stabbed someone in the back. That's what I would have needed to do to get ahead. So many times we look at it from an outside perspective of who am I on the outside? But we don't think about how do I feel on the inside? Is this something that's making me feel good? Is it something that's making me feel lost? And what are the feelings that this is creating inside of me? Are they feelings of, yes, I love this. No, I don't like this. Who am I turning into? There's so many questions we can ask ourselves in those moments of feeling like something's good but not right for us. And sometimes those things can fit who you used to be. It doesn't have to be something drastic like my job where it was just something where I didn't want to do it because it made me feel icky. It could be something like, I used to be that person. Like, for instance, when I was at another job, and I will say, everyone talked a lot of shit there, myself included. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to talk shit about someone. And then they got mad at me. And then I became the one that everyone talks shit about. But those are the lessons. Something can fit with who you used to be without fitting who you're going to be or who you are now. That's why asking yourself in those moments, do I want this, is so important. You can ask yourself things like, if I choose this, what kind of life am I also choosing? Because you rarely choose just that one thing isolated. You usually choose the life that you're creating as well. Like, for instance, choosing a job means you're choosing the schedule. Choosing the relationship means you're choosing how you communicate, how you spend time, how you make decisions, and potentially build a future. When you choose where you live, you're also choosing the lifestyle, the community, the pace, the cost of living, and everything else that comes along with it. Sometimes we focus so much on the thing that we're choosing that we don't look at the life that's actually attached to it. But here's the thing, compatibility matters more than potential. For example, if I just change this one thing, this other potential thing can happen. If I just get promoted, this other potential thing can happen. Maybe they'll eventually, and then this other potential thing will happen. Once I settle in, this other potential thing can happen. Do you see what's happening? There is a lot of potential based off of that one thing that we want to happen. A great question is, if nothing about this situation changed, would I still choose it? Because that question can reveal a lot. We need to learn the difference between this is uncomfortable for me and this is wrong for me, because they are very different. Not everything that makes you uncomfortable is a bad fit. Sometimes the right opportunity scares you. Sometimes a healthy relationship feels unfamiliar. Sometimes moving somewhere new feels lonely before it feels like home. Sometimes growth feels terrible before it finally feels exciting. So that's exactly why we can't use comfort as the measurement. We have to ask ourselves, is this discomfort asking me to grow? Or is it asking me to forget who I am and abandon myself? Because growth discomfort can stretch your identity. But misalignment, it often requires you to betray some part of you. So if that's you got the job that you wanted, but you don't have the lifestyle that you wanted, well, you abandon the lifestyle part. This is why paying attention to the patterns is so important. Because one bad day doesn't mean, okay, go quit your job. One disagreement in a relationship doesn't mean, okay, let me end the relationship. One lonely weekend does not mean that you live in the wrong place. Instead, zoom out a little and ask, what keeps happening? How do you consistently feel? What conversations keep repeating? What compromises keep being required? What needs keep being unmet? The right fit is usually easier to see once you stop analyzing isolated moments and start looking at the patterns. Because let's be honest, sometimes you don't know something until you try it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can spend so much time evaluating and still have no idea if it's the right thing or not. Analyzing doesn't always bring certainty. Sometimes you may need to date the person. Sometimes you may need to take the job, visit the city, try the hobby, start the business, say yes to the opportunity, and then gather the information while you're living it. Choosing something doesn't always mean that you're choosing it forever. Sometimes we get so caught up thinking that this is going to be the end-all be-all. Like if I choose it, there's no going back. That's not the case. Sometimes a choice is simply, this is right for me now. So I'm going to explore it. And if you learn otherwise later that something may be different and you don't like it, that's okay. You can then make another choice. This isn't failure, it's information. When I got laid off of the Chanel job, it was during COVID, and I took a job because the thought of being in a house without work and with other people just didn't sound like the right thing for me. So I took a job. I took a huge pay cut, and I did it because my boss told me I would be happy there. It was not my forever place, but at the time my life was missing happiness, so I took the job. And I got happy along the way, which was really great, and it was a really great place to work. However, I knew when I took that job that it was not going to be my forever home. I wasn't going to be there, and I didn't even think I'd be there a year. I thought I'd be there a couple months. Long and behold, I got happy and stayed for 3 years. But that was also the place where I knew that I needed to go travel. I needed to go explore. I needed to enjoy the life that I've been given. And so I made other choices. It wasn't the end-all be-all. And sometimes what we build up in our heads is such a big thing, and it doesn't have to be. I was so worried about telling my boss, and my boss's response, which I thought he was going to be mad, his response was, yeah, you're a rolling stone. You need new adventures. Go see the world. Like, you should be doing this. And I'm like, what? This whole time, I played out all the scenarios in my head of how it was going to go, and it was not going to go like that. It was going to be bad. Guess what? It wasn't. So if I just leaned into it could be good, instead of worrying this entire time, it could have been so much different. I could have gotten there faster. But I spent so much time worrying if it was the right or the wrong decision and not realizing that it's my life to mess up. It's my life to make great, and I can do any of that by just simply making different choices at any time. And that's what I want to make sure you guys understand today. Your choices are not the end-all be-all. You are able to make different choices. You're making the choices now based on what you know, what you think is going to work out. But once you have more data, you're able to change what you think. You're able to adjust. You're able to say, you know what, this is for me or this isn't for me. And that's okay. Because that's what life is about. Life is about making those decisions, taking those chances, learning what you like and dislike, learning yourself along the way. That is what we're here for. And that is exactly why I say that you should go after the life that you actually want. Because passion is priceless, and you only get one life. So why not live it to the fullest, reaching all your goals and dreams? This has been another episode of The Inner Lunch. Please send this to someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe, and if you want to see how we can work together, visit the show notes. Otherwise, I will see you in the next episode. Bye!